Ay, me corté. Yeah, I cut my hair a lot.
Oh, you're so pretty.
Hola. Hola a todos. Beautiful people. Paulina, Mamacita Eka, Dima, my Mamacita Russians, all my Mamacita Mexicanas, Alex.
Oh,
Hello.
se extrañaba esa voz.
I missed you guys. Hi. I have a helper. I have a tiny helper you guys know. She's going to be my assistant today for the class. So, are you ready? Yes? Okay. So, if you have props at home, like cushions or blankets or even a chair, this is the time you run and get them and bring them back. Do you have any of those? Yes? No? Okay, cool. So, for those who don't know me, my name is Paola. I've been with YSI for about 3 years teaching asana. And I'm very happy to be with you today. I've been practicing yoga for about 18 years. I started when I was like 2. And I am very into alignment and anatomy, and I love it. And my main classes are related to teaching prenatal yoga. So the variety of postures that we will check today will be combining the use of different props to help you help your students feel better in asana variation. So first of all, I would love for you to open your mics and let me know so far, why do you think you might need to know variations for Lady Niguma sequence? Or throw it in the chat. Anyone?
I think it's important to know variations because it is a set sequence. So you want to have something to offer for everyone. And if someone were to walk in with an injury or some sort of disability of any sort, you don't want to exclude them from this really beautiful practice of Lady Nikuma's yoga.
Thank you, Chrissy. Love to hear your voice. Okay, anyone else? We have different body types, compassion to our students, give everyone the sensation of the full expression of the asana, help other people, improve our practice, different types of bodies, and also cautious rhythms. Nice. So yeah, I mean, the intention is to allow everybody feel included in the practice. And so far, when we were doing the first level of Lady Niguma, we were practicing with beautiful Anatole, and his practice is amazing. Like your mind is blown when you see him doing all these postures. And then sometimes we're like, can I do that? Right? It feels like your body is not like positioned in the same way or made the same way. And then you just don't feel like you're doing the whole thing. What I would like for you to think today about is that whatever image is in your mind about the posture is not important. What is important is the journey that is taking you to that posture. What is important is what your body, your inner methods are doing with the external method. So the physical representation of the posture is not the goal. So don't think that yoga is about twisting or bending or doing all this, weird circusy asana that some people can do, but some others can't. And a true yogi is not the one that bends the most, is the one that practices the yoga the most outside of the mat. Okay? So with that in our minds, we're going to run through different postures of the Lady Niguma sequence. And we're going to talk about different things we can do. Okay? Now, you have talked, or we have checked with MJ all about the anatomy. He was talking about movement. He was talking about the spine. So I will not go that much into anatomy because I will assume that you guys became experts after last weekend. But I will go more into how to adjust postures for your grandma or your friend or this new student that just came into the class or the student that is the expert that can be with you. Okay? So Erica here is going to help me with the, yeah, I'm holding her, I'm supporting her here. She's going to help me doing all these postures, and then we're going to practice, and then we're going to go into breakout rooms where you guys are going to teach each other and pretend that you don't know the posture. Maybe you're already pretending you don't know anything, and I am the one that is grateful enough to be able to teach you. So whatever the reason is, let's try to feel it more comfortable, okay? So we will start with sun salutation. And I would love for you to take out your props and practice along with us, okay? So let's stand on top of our mat. Alrighty, so if you see Erica there, she will start with Tadasana, which is the standing posture. Her hands will be placed to the sides of her body, and she would stand still and straight. Now, if you know her and if you have seen her practice, it's amazing. She is super bendy and she is a really good student. So for her, there's no issue doing this. It's easy. But what happens if you have a student that has some injuries or cannot do Tadasana? In that case, you're gonna bring a chair and your student will be comfortably sitting there. Okay, what's important is to have great alignment on the spine, not necessarily having the person standing, okay? So when you want to be inclusive in your classes, you do want to consider all the different options for your students, okay? Stand up, thank you. Okay. So for this, we can use blocks that we're going to give her for sun salutation. And she can place them on the side. Or you can also do a sun salutation using a chair, okay? So you can practice along if you like. So placing both of your hands in front of your chest, palms back and out, down, inhaling up. And the point of falling forward in Uttanasana, as Bob said, I knew a lot of postures, but yeah, Uttanasana is a forward fold. For that, you want her to keep her spine straight, because if she wants to reach out to her toes and hunches her back, and she does this, it doesn't work, okay? So I'd rather having her have a straight spine and keep her palms on blocks or even on her thighs, okay? It's not that important for me that she reaches out and touches her toes if her spine is not straight. So in every forward fold, and this is something we will see if you keep on coming into the classes, into the teacher training, we will go deeper into forward folds. But this is what we need, and she needs to keep her legs straight. Now, if her knees are bent, that's also okay. Can you bend your knees a little bit? She can even do this, and her spine is still straight, okay? So it all depends on your student's capability to fall forward or to go a little or less deep into the posture. So forward fold, head down, and then from here, you're gonna take your left foot back and bring the knee to the floor. Okay, now keep your hips back and keep your body straight. Yeah. So your student cannot go forward. Teresa was cueing us today to push forward the hips if you could do it. If your student cannot do that, this is the right way to go. If the knee hurts, then place something under the knee, okay? Ask your student to have a blanket under the knee to support any knee pain. So if you're coming along with me in this posture, try to put the blanket under the knee or use a cushion or something that feels comfortable, okay? From here, she can keep both her hands on her knee, or she can come forward and maybe use her blocks, okay? Or if she is more flexible, she can come all the way down and keep her foot forward and her hip forward, okay? But it will all depend on her level of flexibility. A recommendation for any teacher is not to cue or to demonstrate the most advanced variation. Because if you go for the most advanced variation, this is what your student is gonna do. So if you have come to any of my classes, you will see that I say option 1, option 2, option 3. So option 1 would be X. Option 2 would be a little forward. Option 3 would be come all the way down. Okay? Okay. Knees back into tabletop, please. Again, you can keep the blanket under, I'm gonna move this a little bit, under her knees. Okay? Now, if your student cannot do Ashtangasana or knees, chest, and chin, you can ask her to put, no, your shoulders. No, shoulders. There you go. Okay? And this is her variation for Ashtangasana. You can try it at home. It feels very safe because you're feeling supported. Are you okay? Okay. So she is not using any arm strength and she's not injuring herself trying to come all the way up. Knees, chest, and chin can be a very hard posture for somebody who doesn't have arm strength. Thank you. I don't want to keep you there for 2 hours and then she's holding it. But because her practice is more advanced, she could come all the way down. And then this is the intense part because she needs to use her arms to push herself up into a little cobra and stay there, okay? Now, if your student is using, can you go back a little bit, please? Both blocks and supporting her shoulders here, and then she needs to go into cobra, she would need to press up and then bring her hips down, only hips. And that would be much easier for her instead of going all the swing back and up, okay? So I would love to see you guys doing it. And I will come forward to the screen and I will love to see how you practice, okay? Let's take a little break here. So everyone, try to use your different props. Try to start with sun salutation and you can stand standing first and palms to the sides in Tadasana. Inhaling your arms back, up, and fold forward. And I'll try to use the different options I gave you, using the blocks or keeping the hands on top of your thighs or bending the knees a little bit. If you don't have blocks, bend your knees and bring the arms closer. Marisol, bring your shoulders back. Keep your back a little bit more straight. La espalda, preciosa. Aha. So, Eddie, can you hunch your back, please? Okay. She's hunching her back. I love it. I can press her. So she's hunching her back. So what I'm going to ask her is to press her chest down. Press your chest down. You see? So up, hunch. She is hunching her back. Press it down. There you go. Okay. So she's keeping her back straight, and that's what we want to do. Okay? We want to keep the back straight. So think about your back. Are you keeping your shoulders together? I love to think that I have like a strap from one shoulder to the other, and then try to bring my shoulders together. So try to have that feeling on your body, okay? And then fall forward. There you go. Okay, awesome. Then palms on the floor and bring the left foot back. Knee on your mat, support it or not, okay? And find your position. Start first on top and then try to see if you can bring your hips forward. A little bit more, a little bit more. Or maybe keep your hands on 2 blocks, or bringing your palms all the way down to the floor. Awesome, Andrew. Okay, cool. Great. Palms on the floor, tabletop. And let's go to Ashtangasana, or knees, chest, and chin, supporting yourselves with your blocks. Keep your shoulders on your blocks. And now release all the body weight to the block. Awesome. And then try to switch to a little cobra. Just bringing the hips down, pressing your body up. Just push the hips forward. You saw what you did? Can you come back, please? And forward. And then only the hip. Okay? So that's the way we're going to go if we are using the block. And then downward facing dog. Thank you. Awesome. Take a little breather there, and we're going to continue here. It's a good thing she's already my student. She comes to my classes, so I already squeeze her all the time. Okay, so can you come on top, please? Take a little break. Okay, so downward facing dog is another tricky posture because people would love to bring the heels down. And in order to bring the heels down, the back will be hunched again. And this is not what we want. We want to keep the back straight. And I don't care if you bend your knees or not, okay? I want you to have a straight back and bend the knees and not trying to force yourself to bring the heels to the floor and then losing the rest of the posture. So if you come forward into downward facing dog, imagine that you cannot bring your heels down. Imagine that you can't. You're a beginner. There you go. You're a beginner and you hunch your back and you have body weight on the hands. So this is very common in students, okay? They have more body weight on the arms rather than the hips. So what we want is to bring the hips back and up. So she can bend her knees more and bring her chest closer to her thighs, bring the head down and keeping her straight spine, okay? And from here, eventually with practice, she can start straightening her legs and trying to bring the heels down. But I will always encourage to find a diagonal from her hand through her elbow, through her side, and the hip up. So if you want to adjust the student here, come back. Always, okay, take a little rest. Big recommendation. If you're going to do any hand adjustment, find the hard parts of the body, okay? Very important. Touch the hard parts, not the soft parts. Soft parts are dangerous. So if I'm going to adjust her, I'm going to try to find her bones, okay? Because this is a tricky area. So if you want to adjust someone here, find the hip bones and press them back, okay? Do not go for the soft parts. And you can bring the head down. And then you can press it a little bit more and she can try to come as far. For someone who doesn't have a lot of practice in downward facing dog, bending the knees is an option. For someone who doesn't have a lot of arm stretch, tabletop would be their option. Okay? So try to practice your downward facing dog. Come on. I'm seeing you now. And try to find the different options I just gave you. First of all, lift your heels as high as you can. And bring your chest towards your thighs. Press back with the palms of your hands. And bring your hips as high as you can. And then from there, if this is easy for your body and if you feel like you want to try it, you can start straightening your legs. Only if you're not losing the structure of the spine. Perfect. And release. It's very important here to remember, you saw this with MJ, right? I am one of those people who are over bendy. I have hyperextension. If this is something you find your student is doing, okay, let me just show it. If you have a student with hyperextension and they do this with their arms, look what happens to my downward facing dog. You see my arms? They bend. So what I would ask my students to have a micro bending of the elbows to start using the muscles in their arms. Because the opposite way, they're gonna pull the elbows in and then they can injure the joints. So always a micro bending situation here will help, okay? So then you can press back. And my arms are always a little bit bent. They're never completely straight because it hurts, okay? So try to see if your body type needs to be straight or a little bit bent, and that is also going to help you a little bit, okay? So this happens. And you have hyperextension, and then you have to have it a little bit bent, you see? Never completely straight, a little bit bent, okay? So you can check that also in your students and adjust them as needed. Cool. Questions so far? You can open up your mics. Nothing? Maybe a short class. Not true. Okay. Gina, can you share the images, please? So you must have this. Can you go to the next slide, please? Okay, next slide. These are the different options we're going through, okay? How far should the feet between the hands be? As far as you feel that your body is creating a triangle shape, not very close, not very open. If you feel like you have body weight on your arms and you're carrying too much weight, that means that your feet are too far away. So you don't want to keep them that far. So you want to have like even body weight distributed amongst the 4 limbs. Does it make sense? Okay. Next slide, Gina, please. You guys must have this thing. If you don't, please ask your distributor to provide it to you. Okay, awesome. So you see, the first one could be a plank pose. Second option could be chest and chin. Next slide, please, Gina. Support it with the blocks or all the way down. Okay, next slide, please. Question, how would I adjust the sensitization to fit another people who practice in a chair? I'm going there. How would you dedicate downward dog to someone who's doing it for the first time ever? Okay. Let us go to the part where we...
I'm going to jump in and ask you to talk a little bit slower.
Okay, I'm going to talk slower. Yes, please, translators, tell me if I'm talking too fast. Thank you, Catherine. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to use the chair, okay? So, sun salutation in a chair. She will start there. She will bring her palms back, inhaling up and forward, palms on the chair. A little bit forward and bring your head in. Downward facing dog. Okay, she can even bring her feet a little bit back and stay there. If it's an elderly person that cannot come this far, can you come a little bit closer? She could use the block there. The idea is to keep her spine straight, okay? Then when she falls back and down, that would be Uttanasana. And then from here, we're gonna use the chair in a different way because she's gonna take a little step back because she cannot maybe come all the way down to the floor. Then she will have to stay seated, then turn and bring one of the legs back behind the chair. And that way she's gonna stay here or keep her arms up. Okay? And then you're gonna turn and switch to the other leg. Another option she can do is going to the edge of the chair and keep this leg back, la otra, okay? And then hands on your thigh, okay? All the time she will be supported by a chair or something. Thank you. So the whole sun salutation thing would be like going here, going forward, going up. You can take a little step forward and just keep the person here or ask the person to sit here, okay? And the person will be moving around the chair all the time. And then stepping forward and just going here. And the rest of the postures would be the same. We will not have a cobra, okay? Or knees, chest, and chin here. This is not an option for them. The chair will be supporting every movement. So the most they can do is be in here. Maybe if they're strong in their arms, they could do this, but that's as much and as far as they can go. Or if they're stronger, they could try this, but this is a lot of arm strength, okay? And then back into downward facing dog. Does it make sense? So what I always say is, you're welcome, Bettina. Imagine if this is a first timer in class, they have never practiced yoga before. Imagine you're explaining postures to your grandma. So don't go full on the asana names in Sanskrit, because if they're not advanced practitioners, they will not understand. So just go like right foot back, left foot forward, hands between your feet. Something that makes sense and it's easier. Yeah, yeah, Benji, like you're teaching to your grandma. That's it. If your grandma understands what you're saying, then your teaching is right. Okay? If your student turns and looks at you like, what? Then you need to repeat it over and over again in an easier way for them to adapt. Okay? Are we doing fine? Slower. Okay. Cool. Now, how could you recognize someone who is just beginner, an advanced, or an intermediate student in your class? You can answer on the chat, or you can open up your mic by asking. Yes, yes, ask, always ask. Never assume that people in your class will know what they're doing. Never assume that people in your class will know all the postures or will have the same level of experience that you do. So this is why we're not using Sanskrit names all the time. This is why we're not demonstrating the most advanced version of the practice. So you will start with the sun salutation, and from there, you can detect if a student is a beginner because of the way they're doing downward facing dog, for example, or if they can fall forward, or if they have to bend their knees, or if their back is at hunch just to try to touch their toes. So that way, you're going to start analyzing who is your audience, and from there, you can suggest variation. I teach a lot of chair yoga where there's no standing involved, and you can adjust on rotation, both your joint fine. Okay, Chrissy is talking in the chat that she also teaches chair yoga, so you can see what she's saying here about the use of the chair. So always ask your students. Another good thing to do is having these props around in your class. If they're not advanced students as well, you can always suggest a prop here and there. For some yoga practices, for example, Ashtanga, they do not use props. But Lady Niguma doesn't say, do not use a prop or never use a prop. It's like adapted to any person's body or style. Okay? Good. So we will keep going forward. I'm not going to go through each one of the postures. I'm just going to try to go to like the most complex ones so you know what to do in each. Okay? Now, if you are, how long do I keep them in a posture? Well, it all depends on how much time you have for your class. Advanced students will just know what to do. They will just go straight. Usually, if I say handstand or headstand, for example, the people who already practice, they will just go into headstand and they will not wait for me to give all the cues. So those will be the advanced ones. You know who they are. You can just check what they're doing. If it's intermediate or advanced, I will have to stop and explain step by step what to do so they feel comfortable doing it, even demonstrate, and then ask them to do it. Okay? But usually when you have advanced practitioners in your class, they will just jump straight into the postures if you ask them to go and not wait for you. Okay? How to work with teenagers and letting me do my yoga. I don't know how to work with teenagers in my house. No, no, for real. Teenagers just need to find something that excites them. So if you make the class exciting enough, they will be engaged. That's what I found. That teenagers are excited into what they find interesting for them. So if you make the class interesting with some music you're playing, or even the words you're using, or a joke here and there, that's gonna caught their attention. Okay. During sun salutation, I'm just reading the questions in the chat. Okay. During sun salutation, I have problems to put the foot in between my hands in the beginning and the end. Is there any hint? Sure. Okay. If you have problems walking your feet forward, then you're going to use your hands. Okay. So, downward facing dog, please. Step forward with one foot to the middle. Imagine you cannot walk. So you're going to grab the foot with the hand and bring it forward. There you go. Okay. And that's going to help you. Gradually, your foot will come more and more forward. But if you can't, and the same thing, you bring your knee down and the foot is way back, the same thing has to happen. You have to grab with your hand and bring the foot forward. And that's the way you go. Okay? Cool. I'm going to continue going with the sequence. Okay, Gina, can you bring the presentation back? Por favor. Gracias. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay. Balasana. I love Balasana. Okay, we have different options for Balasana. Some people cannot bring their buttocks all the way down to their heels. Some other people are flexible. So here you have two different options. So if you're asking your student to rest, let's imagine you can't do Balasana, okay? And this is as far as she can go. The first thing I'm gonna ask her is to spread her knees away. And that's gonna give her a little bit more room for her hips to go back. If that's still going on, I can use a block, place it on top of her heels, and this block is gonna give her some more height. If this is not enough, then maybe a blanket or two, or something that feels more comfortable. If it's too hard for her, imagine you don't have a flexible body, honey. That you're here, another block can be her friend, and she could rest her forehead on a block. So the practice becomes much slower if your student has to rearrange each posture like this. So you might have to skip one or two postures or teach a shorter class, or find what would be like the postures you need to give more time to and the postures you can run faster through. Okay, but this would be an option. An option for a person who's very flexible would be the regular Balasana or child's pose, all the way back and down. For hyper flexible people, sometimes the chin can come to the floor. And if people spread their knees a little bit more and more, yeah, there you go. Even the chest and the chin can come down, okay? She's very flexible on her chest, so she can go all the way down. But you can give this option for a student that feels that they're like restricted in the regular variation. Thank you. Okay, next slide, James, please. Okay, so we were gonna go to Muladhara practice. So the first posture is Janu Shirsasana. If you see, I am giving 3 different variations here. Sorry. The first one is if your student's knee doesn't come all the way down to the floor, so you bend your knee and you have the student that is struggling with their hips, okay? And her back, okay? And then you say arms up, and this is what it looks like, okay? So you're gonna help her. You can either put a block here, support the knee, or you can use a couple of blankets under, and you can encourage your student to pull all the back of their leg to press it down to the mat. That's what they're gonna focus. Not on pressing the knee down, but the or the back of your leg. Okay, that way they're lengthening the muscles and not pressing the joints. And that's gonna prevent from injury. Okay, so this is a good way to go. If her heel is too hard to come all the way down, and this is happening, and this is happening, then she needs some height on her buttocks. So she's gonna sit on a block. It's gonna help her straining her spine and stretching her leg because the knee is not touching the floor, and then she's not stressed about bringing the leg down. So a little height in the buttocks is gonna help your student to feel more comfortable, okay? And here you can only ask her to bring her palms down to a level where she's not losing the connection of the shoulders that we discussed before with the forward fold, because this is another forward fold, okay? If she is more flexible, then she can lose all the props. You can press the back of her leg, you can straighten her spine, and then she can come forward. And a flexible student would do this. You don't need to cue them to do this, okay? The important part is to find the student who is hunch in the back to try to come to the foot and keeping the knee away and forcing themselves into a posture. So never force yourself into a posture. Try to adapt the posture to your body type, okay? I think there's a question in the chat. The most important thing in this asana, make a pressure. When you're sitting on the block, you're gonna bring the heel as close as you can to Muladhara as possible. It is, yes, pressure, but it's also breathing from the chakra. So you have other elements that are gonna focus there. If I wanna force the posture, I might find myself getting into injuries later. Whenever somebody practices something, forcing the body will break eventually if you're not using the right tools, I want to say. Okay. Shisasana, rodilla, doblarla. Okay. Yeah. For any painful joints, just try to find some support under. In this case, can you place the blanket or the block under? Yeah. She can support it there, or you can use a couple of blankets under your knee. Will the student need to sit in the block edge? Not necessarily. because I want her to keep her back straight. And if her sitting bones are supported, then her whole spine will be supported. If she's feeling that she's falling, she's going to be fighting more with balance instead of getting into the posture. Does this make sense, Yara? Okay. Next posture is Baddha Konasana, tight angle posture, feet together. Now, if your student, again, is not flexible from the back, again, you will ask them to sit on a block or a blanket, okay? Now, here, her hips are still very far away from the floor. So using a couple of blocks under her knees are gonna also help her. And then she can focus on straightening her spine. Ask them to remember to strap one shoulder to the other from the back. And then if she wants to come forward, I would suggest to bring the chest forward, not the belly, okay? And then she can go as far as she can. Maybe that's as far as you could go, okay? So this would be an option. Gina, could you go to the next slide, please? So those are different variations. She could stay there, and that's her variation. I always tell my students that whatever posture is available that day for them, it's a perfect posture. They don't want to compare to other students. They don't want to do exactly what the other person is doing. They want to find comfort in their own bodies in the posture. And gradually and eventually, with practice, they might release their bodies from one block or two or more, or maybe they can come all the way down and this one and go forward, okay? But it happens. I promise you it happens, okay? Another option, if you see here in number 2, there's a block supporting the forehead. If there's pressure, because sometimes we pressure ourselves to fall forward, and if that doesn't happen, a block is an option. Okay, cool. Next slide, Gina, please. Okay, small drops, we all know that. I'm gonna move from this one, next one, please. Shavasana. Okay, I'm gonna teach Shavasana, I love it. Option number 1 that you see here is like everybody goes into Shavasana like that. It's easy. But what if your student doesn't feel comfortable this way? You can do option number 2. You can place a blanket under their shoulders and another blanket or cushion under their knees. Option number 3. This is for someone who has heartburn, okay, and cannot lay flat on their back. You can lift their back a little bit more using a couple of blocks and a blanket. And option number 4 is what I would suggest to a pregnant student. Never laying flat on their back, but turning to one side. And this is super comfortable. Okay, let's practice, okay? Let's go into Muladhara. And if you can all open up your cameras. Thank you, Gina, for the presentation. And try to practice the first posture, Janu Shirsasana. Find your own version. Go ahead. So bend your knee, straighten the other leg. Try to experience the different variations that I just gave you, supporting the back of the knee, using a blanket, sitting on a block, strengthening your spine, or supporting the bent knee, strapping your shoulders back. And if it's easy, then go for the next option and the next option and try to experiment how it feels. The best way to know how something feels like is trying to do it. Sometimes we are pressing or pushing our students to do something and we don't even know how they feel. Awesome. Switch side. Mónica, el celular, te estoy viendo. Awesome. Okay, cool. From here, let's go into Baddha Konasana, both feet together. And check where your knees are at and where your back is at. Is it straight? Is it hunched? Do you need support under the knees? Do you need support under your buttocks? All these options are also for you. Maybe you want to rest your forehead on a block. Maybe you just want to focus on your shoulders being together. Maybe you want to play Legos with 4 blocks and make a super tall tower and rest your forehead there. There you go, Svilana. Awesome. Yay. Okay. We can move forward. There's a question about the 3 drops. If you're just rolling back and forth, you are distributing and pressing. If you're pressing yourself down, yeah, you usually fall on the sitting bones, but you can control the fall with your arms. So you need more arm strength. This way, you're just go. Okay, if she does this, she's, massaging her perineum. And if she falls on her back, then she's gonna fall more on her sitting bones. Okay, but the idea is to control the movement. Don't let yourself fall. Okay, like that. Awesome. Okay, moving forward. Presentation, Gina, please, because I want to leave some time for practice. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, let's do Paschimottanasana. Your feet want to go straight forward, but what if she cannot have her legs straight? Same thing is going to happen. She can bend her knees and grab her toes. Toes, yeah, or the big toes, yeah. And this is her Paschimottanasana, for example, okay? She wants to keep her back straight. And then from here, she can start pressing her heels forward and trying to come as low as she can go, okay? Now, if her legs come all the way down and straight, and there's no issue with that, but her hands do not reach her feet, then the blocks are gonna be her feet, okay? This is gonna be her option. And that's fine too. If her back is hunched, then she's gonna need to sit on a cushion or a blanket or a block to keep her back straight. So basically any forward fold will have the same elements. Straight back, something supporting the legs, trying to fold forward from your chest, not from your belly. Okay? Next slide, please. Oh, Navasana. We all love Navasana. Okay, cool. So, Navasana, again, option number 1, I'm sitting on a blanket, and that's Navasana. You cannot lift your legs. It's okay. Just focus on the exact point that you're focusing on and breathe from there, okay? So just bend your knees, keep your toes under your knees, chest up, shoulders back, and that's her Navasana variation. Variation number 2, she can lift the knees and the feet at the same level and try to hold it and support it there, as Teresa was showing us before. Option number 3, most advanced practitioners will straighten up their legs and open up their arms. Up, up, up. Okay, great. Okay? And she can hold it there while I'm talking. And she will hold it there. Let's see it. Bring it down. Okay. And then we can continue. Next slide, Gina, please. Okay, here, the same thing, using blankets underneath. Every time the knee doesn't come down to the floor, you want to bring the knee down. There's a question from Elena, I think. Do you have a question, Elena?
Да, у меня вопрос. Можно задать?
Catherine,
Yes, I have a question. May I ask?
Mhm.
Go to English channel.
Ага. Я хотела уточнить по
I would
поводу
like to
Navasana.
ask regarding Navasana.
Можно ли
Mhm.
замок
May
пальца
I
за большой палец ноги? То есть, получается,
catch my
держать ноги в
toes,
длине вверх и делается
my
замок вот из двух пальцев.
bring
Это поза
my
Navasana или это
legs
совсем другая
up
поза?
and keep my toes by my hands. Is it the same posture or is it different posture? If I'm doing Navasana and catching my toes with my fingers.
Oh, if you're like here, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
The idea is to gather the Swadhisthana chakra. And I think that if you're supporting your legs with your hands, you're more focused on the arm strength instead of the actual chakra. So if you're really working with your, lower belly and focusing there and it works for you, it's okay, but that's not a variation that I would cue.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Chloe, how long should I ask beginner students to keep the bow pose? Oh, no, just a couple of breaths there and rest. It's just the tippy toes there, keeping the straight back. Sometimes just trying to keep the back straight, it's a lot of effort. So, don't keep them sweating there for a long time. She can hold it so she can sweat. Thank you. Okay, next slide, please. Oh, I love this too. I love every posture. Okay, Parivrita Parsvakonasana. Okay, all different options for Parivrita Parsvakonasana. Option number 1, supporting your knee on a blanket and just twisting to the side. Bring your right knee forward and bring your right hand behind your back and your left hand outside the right knee, and twist to the right. And that would be the option you would be doing. For someone who's pregnant or has like back issues or injuries, this is the twist. She's doing the twist. We're focusing at Manipura. Thank you. Manipura chakra. So she's trying to twist from here. Okay, focusing on the belly. Option number 2 would be just bringing the elbow on top of the thigh, not crossing it, just bringing it on top and then palms together. And then she is doing a twist as far as she can go. Okay, no pressure. If she can go further, then she can cross the elbow. If she can go further, then she can find a bind. There you go. And if she's super strong, then she can lift up the knee. And up. There you go. Okay, all of these are variations of the same posture. We are twisting, Manipura, okay? And that's what we're focusing on. Perfect. Okay, so try to find your posture here. Thank you for the presentation, Gina. And let's try to do Parivrita Parasvakonasana, which is the twist to the side. Explore the different options I gave you. And up. Ay, te iba a levantar. Twist. And up. There you go. Okay, thank you. Alita, pregnant, just be there without right. Oh, no, a pregnant lady can do twists. Believe me, they're great because the bowels don't work. Like if you're pregnant, you forget about bowels. So when you do twisting, it's really good for that. But you're going to do the simple twist. Okay? You don't want to go deeper into the twist. Pregnant ladies will not go fully into Navasana. They will keep the toes on the floor. So for pregnant people, use the chart that I'm showing you here and use variations 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, that's the safest way to go. Okay? Okay, awesome. So we're gonna try to work with what we have checked so far. I would love Regina to help me to split into groups of 3. And you're gonna pretend you have no idea what you're doing, okay? So you're gonna take turns teaching one posture using props. And the other 2 are gonna so pretend you have no idea what you're doing. So do it badly, bend your knees, like twist, do everything wrong. So the other one has to correct you, okay? And I will be jumping from one room to the other to see what you guys are doing. Does that sound like a plan?
Hey, Pal, we're going to do the practice teaching groups. So it's about 5 per group.
Sorry.
We're going to do the practice teaching groups. So you just asked for 3, but we're set up to do about 5 per group. Is that okay, Pal?
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
The more
perfect.
the merrier.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, adios. Teach, teach.
Hello. Catherine?
Hello.
Can you? Ah, okay. Hello, Bettina.
Hello. I can do something. Teach.
Sind wir nur zu zweit gerade? Ah nein, da ist Christiane. Super.
Ah ja.
Ah,
Oh, warte mal, da ist noch die Daria. Ich glaube,
Gina,
die.
put us somewhere also. Please.
We have to talk in English, or?
You have to talk whatever you want. Gina, put us somewhere also. Maybe Eka would like to teach me.
okay,
Please.
go ahead.
Sorry, I think they haven't set up the German speaking group. Anja, are you German speaking?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know. I was missing to rename you, but I'm sure Gina, the Zoom host, will put you in a group very soon. Sorry about that.
Speak English. I speak, but a little. I guess something wrong. I get out from this room. It's okay. Oh. Oh.
Benji, I can hear you for some reason. Так, Ольчик, ты что, вывалилась?
Я ушла, потому что я сначала была с Бенджи, а потом туда начали английские приходить вообще. Я не знаю, куда меня
Yeah, what
спрятали.
she said.
She said that she was with you, and then English speakers came up, and so she left. But I can't see her now.
Своих
Oh.
нет. Закиньте меня.
Оленька, сейчас я тебя перекидываю. Ты кто у меня? 3?
Да.
And she's gone. All right, it's me and you then.
You want to throw me somewhere?
Do you want to go somewhere?
Sure.
Let me. Okay. All right, I find you a group. Bye-bye.
Hello. Bienvenidos, welcome. No sé decir bienvenido en ruso. Okay. How did you go? 2 thumbs up, it was fine, or a little bit, or how did you guys feel? Was it helpful?
Yeah.
Okay. We do not have like 4 hours of the class to go through each one of the posture, but if you stay for the rest of the classes in the next level, we will break out postures per family. Okay? So it's really nice to be able to share time with you. It's always a pleasure to see your beautiful faces. Thank you very much to my lovely assistant, Erika. Bring it up for Erika. Yay. Thank you everyone for being here. It's a long, class and a lot of hours that you're investing into becoming a better human and angel. So thank you so much for being here, for taking the time to be in my class. And I really look forward to seeing you in the rest of the classes. I love you all, mamacitas. Lots of love to you. And let's take a break and we will come back for Lydia's class. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, gracias.
Gracias, thank you, danke. I don't know. Spasiba. Sí. I did it. Yay. Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you, Pal. Thank you, Erika. All right, guys. So this marks the end of the day for our Russian-speaking community. So congratulations on getting to the end of the first day. So get some rest, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. German-speaking community, stick around. We still have another class So we're gonna come back together at 2:20 p.m., which is in an hour and 6 minutes, for a sadhana class with Lydia Gallagher. So enjoy a nice break. Take a shower, do what you gotta do, and we'll see you back soon. Thank you.